Introduction to Kant and Duties to Others. In the second episode, Kamala goes with Asura to a small town in Germany. In the 18th century, they meet the great German philosopher Immanuel Kant there. Upon their arrival at Kant's garden, Kamala immediately grasps a piece of cake from the table. Kant is generous towards Kamala because of a special reason. You'll see whether you would agree to Kant, even though his explanation is very brief. Kant emphasizes the importance of reason for us to make a sound moral judgment. He and Asura have a mini debate on whether lying is always wrong. Kant explains his famous moral law, the categorical imperative, which is intended to be a practical test of the moral value of any action. For some reason, you'll see, Kant argues that lying could not pass the test, and therefore it's morally wrong. Asura challenges this apparently rigid moral law. She can't understand why even a white lie, for instance, is considered by Kant as morally wrong. Asura is even more perplexed when they meet an Axeman later in the episode. You'll see that a man is being chased by the Axeman. A lady, who is the man's friend, lets him hide in her house. But the lady tells the truth about the whereabouts of her friend when she's asked by the Axeman. Luckily, before the Axeman searches the house, the man has already escaped from a window. Asura is furious at the lady's honesty in this urgent situation. She couldn't understand why the lady wouldn't tell a lie to the Axeman. But again, you'll see how Kant gives his interesting reply to Asura on the basis of his moral theory. This story of the Axeman is adapted from a real rejoinder written by Kant to his opponent in 1797. One important event has taken place before the story of the Axeman in the episode. After paying a vendor for the 2 apples he has bought, Kant forgets to take the change. The vendor catches up with Kant and returns the change to him. In face of the vendor's honesty, Asura asks Kant whether the vendor should be morally praised for his honesty. Kant doesn't think so. Why not? Kant argues that a moral action must be performed purely from a respect of the moral law. There should be no mixture of personal interest. Kant couldn't be sure about the purity of the vendor's motivation because the vendor may act honestly out of the concern for his personal interest, such as his wish to continue doing business with Kant. The last event elaborates Kant's principle of humanity. Kant lets his servant, Lampa, have a rest in the afternoon. He claims that he treats Lampa nicely because of one reason. He respects him as a human. He wouldn't treat Lampa or anyone else merely as a means. Instead, he would treat everyone as an end in itself, that is, as a human whose dignity deserves our full respect. This principle of humanity would forbid us from using any person merely as an instrument. We'll see in the discussion section that our respect of the moral law would lead to our respect of the human dignity.